everyone, my name is Amber, welcome back to my channel. This is my new releases video for October 2023. It's a very dreary day outside. I'm sorry if you can hear the rain. I just didn't really have anywhere else to set you up right now, so you're right by the window. It means you might be able to hear the drizzle that is happening outside. I do these monthly new releases videos every single month because I like to tell you about the books that I am most anticipating, books that I think the community is anticipating as well. So this month I have probably 24 books to tell you about. I'm not sure how many tabs I have open right now. There are a lot of them. I have a mixture of horror books, thriller books, because there are loads of those coming out in October, some fantasy, sci-fi as well, and a few Christmas books as well because they seem to be coming out in October probably, so they're out in stores ready for the Christmas book buying rush. So without further ado, let's get into the books. So starting off we have And Don't Look Back. This one is a YA thriller. There's also a horror tag in there as well, so it could also be a horror book. It says that it's perfect for fans of Courtney Summers and Tiffany D. Jackson, and those are both authors I have really enjoyed in the past. So even though this book isn't super popular right now, I think I might try and get my hands on it soonish. It says here that Harlow has spent her entire life running, caught in her mother's wake as they flit from town to town, hiding from a presence that Harlow isn't even sure is real. When Harlow and her mum set off on yet another 3 AM escape, they are involved in a car accident that leaves Harlow's mother fatally wounded. Before she dies, she tells Harlow 2 things: where to find the key to a safety deposit box and to never stop running. I think that sounds really interesting, so I'm definitely gonna get my hands on it. I need to mark it as want to read on Goodreads. Curses and Other Buried Things. This one I believe is also YA, and I think it's YA fantasy / historical fiction. So the tagline is blood holds all kinds of curses, and it says here that 7 generations of women in Susanna's family have been lost to the Georgia swamp behind her house. The morning after her 18th birthday, she awakens soaked with water with no memory of sleepwalking. No matter how she tries to stop it, she's pulled from her safe bed night after night, haunted by her own family history and legacy. I love generational fiction and I really enjoy a good historical fiction novel, so I'm looking forward to giving this one a go. Again, this isn't a very popular one. It's only got 43 ratings so far, and I've not seen it around anywhere, but I am intrigued. For something a little bit different, there is also a very intriguing literary fiction book coming out in October, and that is Hold My Girl. So this one, as far as I can tell, is about 2 women who undergo IVF treatment and they end up having 2 babies, 1 each, but it turns out that their eggs were accidentally switched, and I believe one set of parents is white and they give birth to a black baby. So it says here that it has themes of racial identity, loss and betrayal. It's an emotional novel that will leave you thinking what makes a mother. I think this sounds very intriguing. It has quite a few ratings already actually, so I'm assuming this is one that the publishers have been trying to push. I'm just looking here and it actually already came out in January, so I think this might be the UK release. So I'm very much looking forward to this one. Haunting on the Hill. This one is obviously a horror book. It's, I think, a gothic horror. This is apparently the first ever authorised novel to return to the world of Shirley Jackson's The Haunting of Hill House. I'm planning on reading The Haunting of Hill House in October, so I might get my hands on this one later on in the month and maybe compare the 2. I think that might be quite fun if I end up enjoying Hill House, obviously, because I'm not sure I will, but I really like this cover as well. That's also something that I wanted to mention. I just love the colours on it. I think it's a really well done cover. I really need to do something about my fringe. It's overgrown. Kill Show. This one is a true crime book, but I don't know if it's actually a true story or if it's just kind of the vibes of a true crime book, if that makes sense. I don't know if I'm making any sense right now. It may just be a thriller. It's what I'm trying to say. Let me just check. Okay, no, I think it is actually a fiction book, but it's kind of based around the whole true crime fad at the moment. It says here that when 16-year-old Sarah goes missing, it's an utter tragedy and an entertaining national obsession in this thoughtful and addictively readable novel that offers a fresh and provocative take on whodunits and true crime. I'm really interested in reading true crime. I've not really heard anything about this book, so I'm looking forward to giving it a go and seeing the themes that it ends up tackling. Again, something a bit different. We have One Christmas Morning. This is obviously a Christmas book. It's a contemporary book. I'm not sure if it's also a romance. I think what happens in this one is the main character wakes up one Christmas morning and she wakes up in the body of her assistant, who is apparently really hardworking, and I imagine they don't have the best relationship, so this is kind of a way for them to understand each other, or for the main character to understand her assistant and probably treat her better. She also gets visited by the ghost of her grandmother somehow as well. I'm not really sure how everything connects together, but I'm looking forward to giving this one a go at some point, maybe this Christmas or maybe the Christmas after. I just realised it's gotten really dark, I'm sorry. It's the rain. Songs of Erie. This one is historical fiction set in Jamaica. It says here that it's 1976 and Jamaica is on fire. The country is on the eve of important elections and the warring political parties have made the divisions between the poor and the wealthy even wider. I don't really know much about Jamaican history, so I'm looking forward to giving this one a go. I think it will be very educational and informative. I also am not sure I've read anything set on Jamaica before, so that will be another country ticked off my countries list as well. I'm just gonna get some light. Hang on, it's getting very dark. I'm just trying to figure out the best way to have my ring light, and it is definitely not here. Can't remember where I was, so let's just go on to the next book. This next one is called The Paleontologist, and I think it's about haunted dinosaurs, or dinosaurs that are haunting a guy, which I think sounds so interesting. I love books or anything about dinosaurs. I'm obsessed, and to be honest, there aren't enough books about dinosaurs, so I'm so happy that dinosaurs are kind of leaking into the horror genre a little bit more, because that's how Jurassic Park started out. It says here that the main character, called Dr. Simon Neely, goes back to his Pennsylvanian hometown. The Hawthorne is a crumbling ruin, still closed amid the ongoing pandemic and plummeting towards financial catastrophe. Worse, Simon begins seeing and hearing things he can't explain. Strange animal sounds, bloody footprints that no living creature could have left. Are these the ravings of a madman, or is there something supernatural at play? I think this sounds so good. I really want to get my hands on it, so I'm going to try my best to read this sometime soon because I think it sounds really good. The Scarlet Alchemist. This one is a YA fantasy book, which I think is based on historical events, maybe? Yeah, so the main character she wants to become a royal alchemist, hence the title, and she is currently living in an impoverished village in southern China and is practicing an illegal form of alchemy. She starts to get noticed for being such a good alchemist, and then I think she gets involved in like political scheming. I love the sound of this one. I think I've not really heard anything about it until now, until I started researching this video, so I am looking forward to giving this one a go at some point. The List. This one says that it's really good for fans of My Dark Vanessa, which I am. I love that book so much. So this is fiction, it's a contemporary book, I think, and it's also a debut. So it says here that the main character Ola and her fiance Michael are considered couples goals on their social media network. They seem to have it all until one morning they both wake up to the same message saying, "Oh my god, have you seen The List?" And I think this list is posting like allegations of some sort on social media, and I think this sounds really good and very topical at the moment, so I'm willing to give this one a go as well. I have to admit it doesn't have the best rating on Goodreads. It's only got 3.41 at the moment. A lot of people seem to be saying that it's profiting off real stories like this, like real victims, so I'm not really sure if the book handles everything, the themes and stuff, in the best way, but I'm willing to give it a go and see. Midnight is the Darkest Hour, which is one I'm sure everyone is looking forward to. This is another thriller book by Ashley Winstead. I haven't read anything by her yet, but I am planning on reading all of her thriller books in probably the next couple of weeks, so that then I can decide which one I think is best. I think she's released 3 so far, and she's also released 2 romance books if I remember correctly, so I'm looking forward to giving her stuff a go because I've not read anything by her at all. It says that this one is good for fans of Verity, which I'm not, and A Flicker in the Dark, which I am. I also have a review copy of this one as well, so I'm looking forward to getting stuck into it soon. It says here that it's a gothic southern thriller about a killer haunting a small Louisianan town where 2 outcasts hold the key to uncovering the truth. I don't read synopses for thrillers, so that's all I'm going to say about that one, but it sounds really good. I'm looking forward to reading it. The Unmaking of June Farrow. This one is set in a small mountain town in North Carolina. It says here that the Farrow women are known for their thriving flower farm and the mysterious curse that has plagued their family line. It's been a year since June started seeing and hearing things that aren't there. Faint wind chimes, a voice calling her name, and a mysterious door appearing out of nowhere. So I think this might be a magical realism thriller type deal of some sort. I don't know, I think it sounds quite good, so I'm looking forward to giving it a go. It has some really good ratings so far on Goodreads. It's 4.54, and I know people have really enjoyed this author in the past. I can't remember if I've read anything by her. Let me just check. I don't think I have. No, I haven't, but she wrote Sky in the Deep and Fable and a bunch of other stuff, and I do have Sky in the Deep on my TBR, so maybe she's an author that I will enjoy. Throne of the Fallen. This is by Kerry Maniscalco, and I think this is a spin-off book to Kingdom of the Wicked and that trilogy. From what I can tell by the synopsis, it's about the Prince of Envy and someone else. I've not actually finished this trilogy. I got really bored by the second book, so I don't know if I'll read this spin-off. I might give it a go because I did enjoy her writing. I thought it was quite fun, but I just really didn't like the plot of book 2 of Kingdom of the Wicked, so I never finished it, but I might give this one a go if other people seem to enjoy it. Curious Ties. This one is described as Ninth House meets A Deadly Education, neither of which I've read, but I do have A Deadly Education on my TBR. So this is dark academia. I think it's following a teenage mage who joins a secret society or something, and then her classmates start dying. So it sounds like your standard dark academia, but it does sound quite fun, so I might give it a go if I see a lot of hype for it. The Leftover Woman. This one is an adult mystery thriller book, so I won't read the whole synopsis, can't talk today. It says here that it's a family drama and a riveting mystery about the ferocious pull of motherhood for two very different women. Jasmine Yang arrives in New York from her Chinese village without money or family support. Meanwhile, publishing exec Rebecca Whitney seems to have it all. It's about these two unforgettable women on a shocking collision course. So I'm looking forward to seeing what this is all about. I think it sounds quite intriguing, and I'm always looking for thriller books that are a little bit different, because at one point they all started to feel the same and they were all tackling the same themes and stuff, but this one does sound like it's a little bit different, so I'm looking forward to trying it. Then we have Iris Kelly Doesn't Date. This is the sequel to Delilah Green and Astrid Parker, and this is the third and final book, I think, in this series, the Bright Falls series. It's an adult LGBT romance series. I really enjoy Ashley Herring Blake's writing. I've read quite a few books by her now, and this one is obviously following Iris Kelly, who, if I remember correctly, is bisexual, and in this book she, I guess, meets the love of her life or something. It's a romance book, so they're going to get together. These books are always quite funny, so I'm looking forward to reading this one. Two Twisted Crowns. I haven't actually read the first book in this series, but I am about to order it, like literally as I finish this video, because I really want to get my hands on it and recap it for my website Recaptins. I haven't really left myself much time to do so, but that's fine. I always leave these things till the last minute. So the first one is called One Dark Window, and it's an adult fantasy romance book, and it wasn't really getting much hype when it came out last year, but since then I think it has been gaining some traction and more people are reading it. What the River Knows. I thought this one was already out because I'm seeing it absolutely everywhere, but Goodreads says that the release date is the 31st of October, so maybe it's not, maybe people are just getting advanced readers copies. This is YA historical fantasy fiction, I think. It says here that the main character belongs to the glittering upper society of 19th century Buenos Aires, and like the rest of the world, the town is steeped in old world magic that's been largely left behind or forgotten. She receives word of her parents' tragic deaths, and so she inherits a massive fortune and a mysterious guardian who is an archaeologist in partnership with his Egyptian brother-in-law. Yearning for answers, the main character sails to Cairo, and old world magic starts pulling her back in. So I think this one sounds quite good. Like I said earlier, I think I really enjoy historical fiction at the moment, especially when there's some fantasy woven in there as well. So I'm looking forward to giving this one a go. I think I've got an advanced reader's copy of this one as well. Lilith. This one is fantasy mythological retelling sort of thing. It says here that it's in the tradition of Madeline Miller and Claire North. It's the story of the first woman who was expelled from paradise for disobedience. So I'm really excited actually to see a feminist retelling of a Hebrew myth this time, because so far all of the ones that I've seen have been either Greek, Roman, some Norse in there as well, and some Egyptian, not really any Hebrew or Christian. So this is really intriguing to me. A lot of people are already rating this highly, so I really hope that I enjoy it as well. A Fire in the Flesh, which is by Jennifer L. Armentrout. This is the third book in her Flesh and Fire series. I think that's connected to From Blood and Ash, but I don't really know how because I've not read these books. I just wanted to point out that it is coming out this month. This may be a series that I dive into at some point. I've read some books by Jennifer L. Armentrout before and I haven't loved them. I was really obsessed with the Lux series when that first came out, but it was such a rip-off of Twilight. Then I tried reading Half-Blood and that was a rip-off of Vampire Academy. So after that I didn't really want to read any of her stuff, but I am very intrigued by the hype surrounding this series, or these two series, whatever they are, however they're connected. So maybe I'll give this one a go at some point. Starling House by Alex E. Harrow. This one is going to be super popular. It's coming out tomorrow as you're watching this. This is another Gothic story by this author. I think it's about a small town that's haunted by secrets. There's a sinister house in the middle of all of this somehow. I think it sounds really good. Swordcatcher by Cassandra Clare. I really don't want to read this one because I don't like the author, but I do need to read it because I need to recap it for Recaptins. I'm not going to read it in October. It's coming out on the 10th. I may end up reading it in the next few months so that I can get a recap up on my website, because I need to help people by recapping books in a series, and even that, if that means torturing myself with these books, I will. So this is her first adult book, I think, so her adult debut. It's a fantasy book, and I think this one is not connected to Shadowhunters at all, and I think this is like one of the first books from her that hasn't been connected to Shadowhunters. She obviously did that middle grade series with Holly Black, but otherwise I think every other book that she's written has been in the Shadowhunters universe, but this one apparently isn't. So we'll see. I'm interested to see what people think of this one, as it's her first adult book. It looks like none of my friends have read it so far, so I have no idea what the vibe is at the moment. A Curse for True Love. This is the third book in the Once Upon a Broken Heart trilogy. I haven't read these 2 books, but I have read the recaps that are up on my site, and I'm not gonna lie, I am quite intrigued to see where this trilogy ends up. So this is connected to her other series, which was called Caraval, I think. Although because I didn't finish the Caraval series, I don't really know how this is connected in any way, but it's YA fantasy romance. A Winter in New York by Josie Silver. This is another Christmas book. In this one, the main character is traveling to New York to restart her life, start a new life. I think she starts to feel nostalgic and wants to leave, but I think her best friend Bobby kind of gets her out the house or apartment or whatever and shows her the city, and they start to have a good time. And then I think she starts to find her own little community or family there in New York. Night of the Witch. This is by Sarah Rush and Beth Revis. I've read from Beth Revis before and really enjoyed her writing. Although it was years ago, I read her sci-fi series Across the Universe. That was really good, but really old school YA. But anyway, what I'm trying to say is that I think I might enjoy this book if I give it a go, because I've liked her writing before. This one is about a witch and a witch hunter. I imagine they're thrown together and it's kind of forbidden love of some sort. It's YA and it's fantasy. Lore Olympus Volume 5 is coming out in October. I've already read this one because I caught up with the webcomics a few months ago. Now I'm behind again, but I did catch up at one point, so I've already read this one. Really enjoyed it and I gave it 4 stars. The Sun Sets in Singapore. This one is an adult contemporary fiction. It's about 3 expats who are from the UK, Nigeria and the US, and they've all moved to Singapore, and I think we're following them with how they're dealing with living in a foreign country, and I think they probably feel quite lonely, and I don't know if they come together and get to know each other, but regardless, I'm looking forward to reading this one actually quite a bit. Reasonable Adults. This one I think is another Christmas book. Going by the cover, it looks quite wintry. This is about a main character who moves to Canada to take on a temporary job to kind of get away from her old life. She wasn't enjoying her job and wanted to go into the wilderness, and that's what she did. This is the debut book. It's apparently really funny. I'm looking forward to giving this one a go. This is one that I will probably get my hands on this winter season. Caught Up. I've not actually read the other books in this series. It's called the Windy City series, and it suddenly seems very popular. All of a sudden, I've been seeing it everywhere after not hearing anything about it since the first book came out. This one is about a guy called Kai. I don't know who Kai is. I think this is a sports romance, and I don't love sports romances to be honest, but this is on my list because I do want to read Mile High, which is the first book, and then The Right Move, which is the second. Apparently the first book isn't great, but the next book is brilliant, so when I'm in the mood I will give this one a go. The Endless War by Danielle L. Jensen. This is the 4th book in the Bridge Kingdom series. Last to Leave the Room. This is by Caitlin Starling, who I have read from once before, and I've been meaning to read her second book for ages now. It's called The Death of Jane Lawrence. This one is another adult queer horror book, and I think it's about doppelgangers, which I love reading about, and because I really enjoy this author's writing, I'm going to get my hands on this. This one comes out on the 10th of October. People to Follow. This is a YA thriller mystery book about influencers who go to a remote island, star in a reality show, and then I imagine they start to die. I love the sound of this one. I really enjoy following people on a remote island. I really enjoy reading about influencers as well. I think it's quite funny. The Night House by Joe Nesbo. This is his first, I think, classic horror book, or take on a classic horror book. Normally he writes mystery thrillers, but this one, it says that it's putting a twisted and multi-layered spin on the classic horror novel. 14-year-old Richard, in the wake of his parents' tragic deaths in a house fire, has been sent to live with his aunt and uncle in a remote insular town. Richard quickly earns a reputation as an outcast, and when a classmate named Tom goes missing, everyone suspects the new angry boy is responsible for his disappearance. No one believes him when he says the telephone booth out by the edge of the woods sucked Tom into the receiver like something out of a horror movie. I think this sounds really fun, so I want to give this one a go. I might try and read it later on in the month. It does actually say here that it originally came out in May, but I think that might have been the original version because this is translated. The sequel to Icebreaker is coming out in October as well. This one's called Wildfire, and I haven't read Icebreaker, but I've been meaning to because I really like the cover. I think it's cute, and I know I said that I don't like sports romance all that much, but I don't know. The hype is getting to me and I want to try this one. This one follows 2 summer camp counsellors who reconnect after a one-night stand, so I think it sounds fun. I don't know why it's coming out in October if it's about summer camp counsellor, but it's fine. One Puzzling Afternoon. This one is coming out on the 3rd of October. I think it already came out maybe in the UK or the US, and now it's coming out in which other country it hasn't already come out in. So it says, in 1951, Lucy goes missing. In 2018, Edie is 84 and living in Ludthorpe, which is a town, I guess, and then she sees Lucy, who still looks the same as she did in 1951. I think this one sounds really intriguing and very mysterious, so I'm looking forward to giving this one a go as well. The Jinn-Bot of Shantiport, this one is being published by Tor. This is adult science fiction dystopia, I think. It says here that Shantiport was supposed to be the gateway to the stars, but the city is sinking and its colonist rulers aren't helping anyone but themselves. I'm really into sci-fi at the moment. I'm looking forward to giving this one a go. I love the cover as well. This cover is so cool. And then finally, the last book in this really long video is Let Him In. This one I added just because of the cover, because it's so creepy, and this is one of the instances where I can see the face on the cover and not just the people and the trees, so go me. This is a psychological suspense debut. It also says that it's gothic and creepy. It says here that it's about a young newly widowed father struggling to raise twin daughters who are obsessed with an imaginary friend. I guess he thinks that his kids are just sort of traumatized by the death of their mother, but it turns out it could actually be a creepy ghost. So I'm looking forward to giving this one a go as well. So thank you for watching this video. Those are all the books I'm looking forward to reading at some point that are coming out in October 2023. Please like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video. Leave a comment if you enjoyed it as well, because it really helps the algorithm. And it also tells me that you enjoy these and it's worth putting all of the effort into them. Thank you again for watching, and I'll speak to you all in the next video. Bye!